The Finance Ministry reacts to international rating agency Standard & Poor's favorable investment grade rating for Barbados. The Transport Board is looking to retake some of the routes operated by private service vehicles and imports. An exciting finish to the final one-dayer between the West Indies and India.
Credible, balanced, committed. This is the CBC Evening News.
Hello, good evening. I'm Lisa Broom with the CBC Evening News. International rating agency Standard & Poor's has maintained Barbados's BBB- investment grade rating and placed the economic outlook at stable. The report comes one day after Moody's Investors Service downgraded Barbados's domestic currency rating from a Baa2 to a Baa3. In response, Finance and Economic Affairs Minister Chris Sinclair says it shows the continued confidence in the local economy. He says Barbados has a history of meeting its commitments, having never defaulted on any of its loans. Mr. Sinclair says Barbadians must stay committed and focused and outlined S&P's reasons for the grade.
We're doing so behind a stable outlook for Barbados' economy, in which they project a 2% growth this year and 3% next year, and in which they express confidence in Barbados' ability to manage its debt, consolidate its fiscal account, and generally return the island to the levels of stability to which we have become internationally known.
The Finance Minister has also given some early hints into this year's financial statement and budgetary proposals. Mr. Sinclair says the Finance Ministry will be increasing the level of incentives it allows to householders and businesses to ensure they can reduce their dependence on and consumption of fossil fuels. He says government will be setting the example for the rest of the island to follow.
We intend to retrofit all government businesses, all government buildings, I should say, with solar voltaic panels. We're looking at the LED systems for street lighting, and those, of course, are two major planks of government's own bill for our energy consumption needs. We're also looking at the entire policy framework. Indeed, there's legislation that is currently being worked on by the Ministry of Energy and the Chief Parliamentary Counsel's office to ensure that alternative energy which is produced can be dispatched back into the national grid and taken on by the Barbados Light and Power.
Mr. Sinclair says they've acquired a $45 million loan from the Inter-American Development Bank to finance Barbados's alternative energy strategy.
We have a $10 million smart fund issue accompanying that through the General Environmental Facilities (GEF) program. That is also unfolding as we speak. And the government is expecting to sign later this year, in another few months, a second PDL, policy-based loan, with the Inter-American Development Bank to extend our efforts at ensuring that our alternative energy program is well placed to take advantage of the new renewable energy.
The local business community is concerned about the recent downgrade in rating by Moody. The Barbados Chamber of Commerce says it is, however, pleased that another agency, Standard & Poor's, has retained this country's investment grade rating. In a statement issued today, the Chamber says it is comforted that there are expectations that the performance indicators will remain relatively stable. The grouping of local businesses notes that while improvements must be made, there are several positive factors that indicate there is a way forward for the economy. It has identified two of these factors as stability in this country's foreign reserves and the positive performance of the tourist industry in recent months. The Chamber of Commerce says that government subventions should be reduced in areas which have a questionable long-term impact. The business community is also suggesting a reduction in spending at the national level and what it terms a rigorous review of privatization of some aspects of government business. And opposition leader Owen Arthur says it is clear that both international rating agencies Standard & Poor's and Moody's have different perspectives on the Barbados economy. Mr. Arthur says, however, that Standard & Poor's could have older information on the local economy since their last visit to the island was sometime last year and would be somewhat outdated. The opposition leader wants to know where the growth and capital inflows are, as he is not seeing them.
I'm not faulting them for what they were told at the time, but you know that the facts are different now. So can you say that the tourism performances justify the growth? No, Mr. Jordan spoke yesterday. We now have the information for May. We also know, as I said, that January to March, the performance, the so-called increase in arrivals was largely because of in-transit passengers, but that the length of stay of long-stay passengers fell. And May is dismal, and we're being told that the summer is looking extremely bleak.
Prime Minister Fundell Stewart has described his first official visit to China as very promising and worthwhile. His comments came as he was winding down his official 6-day trip to that country that saw him visiting the capital Beijing as well as municipalities of Xi'an and Shanghai, where he held top-level meetings with government officials and the business sectors. Mr. Stewart started his last day in the country having talks with the investment executive of the Asian Office of Invest Barbados, Dr. Carlyle Boyce, who is based in Shanghai. There are plans afoot for Invest Barbados to broaden its outreach to target more investors, manufacturers, and business and financial services executives in other emerging economies in Asia. Later, the Prime Minister held meetings with officials of the Shanghai Urban Planning Department, the Mayor and Deputy Mayor of Shanghai, as well as management and administrators of the Yangshim Deep Sea Port, which is a billion-dollar shipping hub. Mr. Stewart pointed out that his visit also served to further strengthen relations with China and identified additional areas of cooperation between the two states. He said he was very encouraged by the talks held with the Chinese government on securing the needed technical assistance in a number of areas that are critical to the development of other sectors of the Barbadian economy. Prime Minister Stewart is due back home on Saturday. Police in Barbados have made a breakthrough in the case where a man was said to have attacked children in certain areas of St. Michael. The lawmen say they are questioning a man in connection with these incidents. The situation had been deemed so worrisome that lawmen had asked parents and guardians not to allow their children to traverse Cave Hill, St. Stephen's Hill and Husbands without supervision. People living in these areas who have contact information may still contact the police. Children had also been encouraged to tell their parents, guardians, teachers or police about any strangers who may attract their attention or interfere with them. Coming up, we'll tell you what the Transport Board is doing to boost its revenue. The Transport Board is looking at several ways to increase its revenue and has not given up on taking back 1 or 2 lucrative routes now operated by private public service vehicles. That's the current thinking, as the 56-year-old organization today reported good feedback and popularity over the recent island-wide route changes. General Manager Sandra Ford told CBC that among many cost containment measures now being examined, there was the possibility of putting back 1 or 2 buses on lucrative routes now plied by PSVs.
We are not responsible for the routes. It's the Transport Authority. We just look after the servicing of the routes. But just yesterday we've had a meeting with the minister, and he has indicated that we should probably look at revisiting those lucrative routes. And I have spoken to our operations manager, and that's an area that we would look at. Even though the routes were not taken away from the Transport Board, it's just that we preferred not to put too many buses on the particular routes where the PSVs are utilizing. But we're going to look at putting back in maybe 1 or 2 buses in those particular areas.
Local farmers have come in for a tongue lashing from head of the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association, Colin Jordan. He says hoteliers are not satisfied with the quality or consistency of products coming from local farmers. As a result, Mr. Jordan says the BHTA has entered into discussions with a local company which will act as a clearinghouse for hotels.
What we suffer from is that one hotel or one restaurant may have a supplier, but if a supermarket or somebody else offers 50 cents more per pound, then when you think you have a supplier, you don't really have any. So you are kind of scrambling. So we go to what I would call consolidators. Now, if this facility, this produce warehouse, can get to the point where it is really a clearinghouse, where farmers can bring their stuff, their produce, and they can do the grading, the packaging, they can insist on the standards, then that can be a facility that our members can use.
The Queen Elizabeth Hospital has a new board of directors. It's being chaired by Francis de Pisa, who replaces Reverend Guy Hewitt. He'll have Don Allen as his deputy. The other members are Junior Alsop, Shelley Weir, Richard Kennedy, Lawrence Clark, Cardinal Fenty, Andrew Watson, Kenneth Walters, Dr. Ingrid Cumberbatch, Lindsay Arthur, and that is Lindsay Arthur. Minister of Health Donville Innes thanked the previous board for its invaluable contribution to the public healthcare system. He also noted that it was ably led by former chairman Reverend Guy Hewitt. The new QEH board will take effect from June 16, 2011 to June 15, 2013. Still to come, a look at some of the stories making headlines across the region. But first, the courts quiz. Where is the Legends of Barbados Cricket Museum situated? Before the break, we asked you, where is the Legends of Barbados Cricket Museum situated? The answer, Montebello, St. Michael. Transport ministers from Jamaica, Barbados and Trinidad and Tobago have concluded talks on the introduction of the low-cost budget carrier Redjet into Port of Spain and Kingston. According to reports from that meeting, a license would not be granted to the carrier to fly to the Port of Spain and Kingston route until safety concerns are addressed. The meeting comes less than a week after Jamaica's Prime Minister Bruce Golding had said that he intended holding talks with his counterparts in the two Caribbean countries to sort out the issues confronting the Barbados-based Redjet. Trinidad and Tobago's Works and Transport Minister Austin Jack Warner told reporters that the issue of safety had been raised during the talks and there was agreement that the region would maintain its proud safety record. His Barbados counterpart, George Hudson, said Bridgetown understood the concerns of both Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago, noting that it was their right to address those issues before allowing any airline to operate out of their countries. However, Hudson told reporters that those discussions should have taken place earlier. Jamaica police say they have shot and killed one of the 12 prisoners who broke out of jail on Tuesday and recovered a homemade shotgun. The Bureau of Special Investigations says it is probing the death of Barrington Finn, who had been on a murder charge. The matter has also been reported to the Independent Commission of Investigations. Police add that 3 of the prisoners had been recaptured, while another turned himself into detectives at the Mandeville police station, accompanied by a pastor. 7 other prisoners remain at large. Bermuda's Chief Justice Richard Ground has rejected a bid by former Premier Ewart Brown to gag the media over court claims that he sought a personal stake in a private company pitching for government business. Brown, who quit politics when he stepped down last October after serving 4 years as head of government, was ordered by Justice Ground to pay the Royal Gazette legal costs after the daily newspaper successfully contested his bid. Brown's lawyer described the claims as grossly defamatory. Brown launched legal action after businessman David Bolden told the Supreme Court that Brown made overtures via an unnamed government minister for a stake in Bolden's wireless technology enterprise. Ahead is the sports news, but before we get to that, here is a tip from Cooperators General Insurance.
This tip of the day is brought to you by Cooperators General Insurance Company Limited. Insurance the way you want it to be.
Safer speeds. These are travel speeds that suit the function and level of safety of the road. People understand and comply with the speed limits and drive to suit the conditions. This tip in association with the Decade of Action for Road Safety.
Very good evening. I am Mark Seal with your Lime Sports World. Just as in the series against Pakistan, the West Indies have taken the final 2 games against India in the Judicel Pearls One-Day International Series. Playing the 5th and final game in Jamaica this evening, the Windies defeated India by 7 wickets with 8 balls to spare. Deciding to field first, the Windies bowled out the visitors for 251, with Virat Kohli making 94 and Andre Russell taking 4 for 35. The Windies responded with 255 for 3, led by Darren Bravo's 86 with 3 4s and 6 6s, along with Ramnaresh Sarwan's 75 retired hurt, which included 5 4s and a 6.
In the air, man's coming back to take the catch, and a wonderful catch by Martin. And taken.
Bouncy pitches.
That's going to run away. Overpitched.
Need to keep the ball further up to the bats. That's a huge hit. Premeditated. That's hit the edge, and he's out.
Coming back to 2, could be tight.
Oh.
No, we'll have to have a look at this again.
Yeah, he's gone. Andre Russell. In the air, fielder is under it, will take the catch, and does.
Hold him.
High in the air and will go all the way. Edged and caught. Bowl him. Backing away to leg, and the catch is taken. Bowl him, and that's the end of the innings. Favorite shot for Sarwan. Over the top. Again. Big heave towards the onside and gets it away for 4.
He's hit it with the turn.
And he's gone in the air this time. Edged wide of the keeper, 4 runs. He's pulled out straight past the bowler. Darren Bravo's half century, 50 from 78 deliveries.
They've just compounded their problem. That's in the air, and it'll clear long on.
He's gone again, that's even better. That's a massive one into the car park. Swung again. That's gone for another one. Out towards long off and clearing long off easily. Well bowled. Appeal for a stumping. I think they've got him. Hits it straight, hits it hard. Will he get 4? He does. Back past the bowler. 1 bounce. Full toss, a massive one. That's launched into orbit. Into the top deck of the North Stand. Slashed away. That's gone. 1 bounce 4. That's it. Celebration time in the West Indies camp, led off by the captain and the former captain.
Well, India still took the series though, 3 games to 2. Now the test series that will begin on Monday. And talking about the former captain, Chris Gayle is unlikely to feature in that upcoming 3-test series between West Indies and India. Reports are that a meeting between Gayle and officials of the West Indies Cricket Board failed to reach a resolution to the rift that has developed in recent weeks. It followed the West Indies opener's highly publicized controversial interview on a Jamaican radio station, where he slammed the WICB and was also critical of Chief Executive Officer Ernest Hilaire, the coach Otis Gibson, and the captain Darren Sammy. Gayle, who opted out of the Pakistan series to play in the lucrative Indian Premier League, was subsequently overlooked for the one-day international series against India, with the WICB indicating that he would need to explain his highly charged comments before he could be considered for selection. Reports further indicate that Gale and the West Indies Players Association wanted the WICB to agree to Gale's unconditional return and accept the fact that the comments were made in the past and the WICB should forget the issue and move on. However, the WICB felt that he had denigrated the board, the coach, other officials, and West Indies cricket, and therefore should not expect to walk straight back into the side without explaining himself. There has been no indication if Gale and the WICB will meet again. Well, here in Barbados, leg spinner Colleen van der Poel with a 9-wicket haul led Alexandra to victory over St. Lucie when the first round of the Lyme Under-15 cricket tournament finished today. Playing at Queen Street, van der Poel took 9 for 23 as Alexandra won by 78 runs. Scores: Alexandra 165 for 4 and 115 for 3 declared. St. Lucie 112 and 90. Now up the hill from Alexandra at Ashton Hall, Corjan Parry defeated Grantley Adams by 138 runs. Scores there: CP 192 for 2 and 124 for 3. Hassani Newton scoring 77 not out and 62 not out respectively in those innings. Grantley Adams 85 and 93. Newton then took the ball and got 6 for 22 in that second innings. Now at 6 Roads, Combermere had the widest margin of victory, beating Princess Margaret by an innings and 44 runs. Princess Margaret 38 and 101, Daniel Weeks getting 73 and Keon Bartlett 7 for 26, Combermere 185 for 4. And at Church Hill, Foundation defeated Parkinson by 10 wickets. Foundation 227 for 2 and 19 without loss. Parkinson 122 for 7 and following on 153 in their second innings, with Ronaldo Estwick taking 6 for 24. Meanwhile, in the matches that were drawn at Messiah Street, Harrison College 111 and 144 for 2. Jack Hibbert and Kyle Hinkson both got 50 not out. Lodge 104 for 9 and 56 for 4. Then at Beckles Road, the Allen School 126 for 5 and 136 for 4 declared. Andrew Suku getting 65. The Garrison 123 for 5 and 105 for 4. Round 2 is going to be next week, Monday and Tuesday. We'll take a break here. When we come back, we'll talk basketball. 2 additional basketball competitions are being prepared for Bajan youngsters. CBC's Melissa Farley has all the details.
A mini-league for young basketballers is set to bounce off later this summer. It's the Williams Under-14 competition.
Big thing about this Under-14 tournament is that it's expected to assist with BAB's selection process for the 2012 Regional Junior Championships. It will be scheduled to allow participants in Horford Academy and National Sports Council camps and the mini-league training program to kind of take in what they learn and put it into practice at our Williams Under-14 basketball tournament.
In addition to that, there will also be the Williams Kings of Court Under-21 tournament.
The Under-21 competition will be a competition to help introduce kids to the sport of basketball, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So you don't need to be a talented youngster per se, but a youngster that just want to have fun and play the game and enjoy the game.
With no Under-21 division on FIBA's calendar, the Barbados Amateur Basketball Association has decided to take a similar stance. But a young player says the competition was a beneficial one.
We don't see basketball, especially when the school league has finished. So the Under-21 tournament is a competition where the guys could keep abreast of the situation and keep our skills intact, and also push the development of the country so that when we get to the national level, we would be prepared for what the other countries have to offer.
Melissa Farley, CBC Sports.
10 venues will cater for over 1,500 campers between the ages of 8 and 16 at this year's National Sports Council Summer Camp, which starts June 27th. With an increase from 16 to 18 disciplines, organizers have limited the number of participants to each sport.
Of course, these numbers would have been divided depending on the amount of participants that can be accommodated at one particular venue. For example, in the sports of swimming, where there's only one swimming pool, those numbers will have to be severely restricted because of safety concerns. And like a mass sport like football or netball, where you could have a lot of participants, swimming would be one particular sport that cannot accommodate a mass number of participants.
Now, during the summer period, the campers from the under 15 and under 17 age groups will play 8 visiting school teams coming from England, Canada, and the United States. They will compete in football, cricket, hockey, and netball. Lime has once again injected cash into the camp, which now has 2 new disciplines in golf and handball.
The golf we had tried to get going last year, and we didn't get all the logistics worked out. And this year we've got that covered, and we've introduced handball. So we are now working with 18 disciplines in all. The 16 we regularly coach at the council, and the 2 new ones. This year also we have had to increase the fees. We normally functioned with a $100 fee per participant. This year we've had to increase it, but in this recession, we understand that it may be difficult for some people, but because of the popularity of the camp, we are conscious that we will still be able to maintain our 1,500 plus numbers.
And that's it for sports. We're going to have the business report up next.
Government is quickly accepting credit cards as a form of payment as it moves to embrace all forms of technology. Finance and Economic Affairs Minister Chris Sinclair says as they seek to improve the business environment and better facilitate their clients, e-payments is the way to go.
Where each customer can, from the comfort of their homes, pay their taxes, and I repeat, pay their taxes, and other amounts due, to the government and its agencies. To facilitate this eventuality, the Ministry of Finance, with the assistance of the Data Processing Department, is actively working with the banking sector to develop an e-payments solution at the lowest cost possible, which would be satisfactory to all of our stakeholders.
Mr. Sinclair was speaking during the launch of the Royal Bank of Canada's new limited Visa Platinum credit card at the Concord Experience last night. He commended RBC for the new category of credit card. Mr. Sinclair says customers are demanding more efficient banking services and are exercising greater judgment about the products and services being offered by the bank.
With the advent of the credit card, more and more customers have turned to this, as they call it, plastic money, because of its convenience, flexibility, and security, which this form of payment brings to the processing of transactions on a daily basis. We can all readily admit, however, that the most important advantage of the use of a credit card is its convenience to the customer in the conduct of quick and efficient payments when conducting business.
Decorative building seems to be the new area to make money in the construction industry. While general construction of building and houses seems to be on a go-slow, there appears to be growing demand in this niche market. Shane Seeley has more.
I'm here in Sargent's Village, speaking to the man responsible for what can be considered to be some of the most beautiful coral decorations on the island. He's Alpheus Blake of Blake Coral Creations, and it's pieces like these which set him a cut above the rest. This piece, he says, would cost about $15,000. And right now, he's working on this table stand, which he says would normally cost about $5,000. Mr. Blake admits that there are people out there who are not at this time willing to build homes, but would purchase a coral stone piece for decoration or fancy furniture.
The demand is there. Most really, really rich people. Most so that in the Sandy Lane area, them big places, yeah, most of them.
Okay. Mr. Blake has been in the business now for 14 years in Barbados, and the minimum price for a piece is around $3,000. He says while that may sound expensive, molding coral stone is labor intensive, and according to him, there aren't many people around that can do what he does.
You see a piece on the house there?
I didn't show that.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people will be able to do that. You may go 1 or 2, but not a lot of people won't be able to do that.
Is there anything that you can't do with coral stone?
I don't think so. Once I got a drawing, I think I can do anything.
It's expected that there will again be a construction boom in Barbados, and as people seek to decorate their homes, there will be even more business for coral stone carvers on the island. Shane Seeley, CBC News.
Now here is a summary of today's trading on some of the region's stock exchanges. International business now. Financial markets have fallen on investors' concern about the impact of Greece's economic crisis. London, Paris and Frankfurt's key share indices were initially down more than 1%. The sell-off followed falls in Asian markets, with investors worried that the Greek economy has reached a tipping point and that it will spread to other markets outside the Eurozone.
Contagion is the word of the day, and what this basically suggests is what happens in Greece will have those ramifications around the rest of the world. There will be the ripple effects that will go out from other parts of the European Union right across the world to the United States and of course to into Asia. But these are this is Greece. Now we know Greece has the lowest rated sovereign debt in the world. S&P puts it at CCC. Basically it is one stage from default. However, those very bonds that are now graded as CCC and below, they are all shoved into German banks, $34 billion worth. French banks have 53 billion or so. ECB has billions of dollars of exposure. Not only direct exposure, they've bought the bonds, they've got the debt, but other lendings to Greek banks and to Greek companies and so the whole network of it. Europe, if those bonds default, then these banks, ECB, French, German and others, will be seriously affected.
And that's Thursday's business. Up next, David Best with the weather.
A very good evening to all, and the moisture levels in the region today were marginally higher than the models suggested yesterday, and as a result we had some sharp showers here in Barbados overnight, resulting in 5.2 millimeters of rainfall. Dominica had as much as 20 millimeters of rainfall. The maximum temperature though got up to its high of 31.7 degrees Celsius. The minimum temperature over the period, 25.7. At 6 o'clock, skies were partly cloudy. The temperature was down to 28.3. The humidity, 84%. The winds were out of the east at 19 kilometers per hour. The apparent temperature today was 37 degrees, so it was marginally down. The strong winds, I guess, assisted in cooling. Now, there is one tropical wave in the eastern Atlantic, Barbados and the island chain around here. That wave is in the vicinity of 41, 42 degrees west. Most of the convection though is to the south of 12 degrees north, and this wave is due in the region sometime around late Saturday into Sunday, and all the models again are suggesting that this system, it will be still a tropical wave, but it is expected to inject a fairly significant amount of moisture into the region, and we could very well be looking at some showers and possible isolated thunderstorms. Well, putting the cloud in motion, we see the high pressure system again continue to be the most significant feature. From last night we had some concentric bands of low level cloud moving into the region. They generated some pretty sharp showers here in Barbados, as it indicated. Some small scale feature was responsible for enhancing one of those patches, and we had those showers just about here developing in Barbados. But generally we are seeing some low level moisture moving into the region. This is expected to continue, and as a result we're going to be looking at partly cloudy to cloudy skies tonight. Some scattered shower activity expected. It is also going to be quite breezy. Now the tropical wave which passed through us yesterday, that is in the vicinity of around 74 degrees west, created quite a bit of stir over Hispaniola, Puerto Rico. They had cloudy skies and scattered showers and even some isolated thunderstorms. By tomorrow is going to be in the vicinity of Jamaica, and they're going to be looking at cloudy skies, scattered showers and the possibility of isolated thunderstorms. I'll be back after the break. And welcome back. And the ridge of high pressure again is going to be the dominant force again tomorrow. We're going to be seeing those patches moving in and out of the island chain. Should be developing a few brief passing showers. Of course, intertropical convergence zone activity a little more active down south. Of course, this is associated with the tropical wave, the leading edge, and that is going to be moving toward the region. Let's take a look now at our 4-day prediction. Friday through to Monday, and we're looking at partly cloudy skies. Is also going to be breezy through until Saturday. But around late Saturday into Sunday, we're going to be seeing the moisture levels peaking, instability levels rising. And we're going to be looking at overcast skies, scattered showers, some thunderstorms also thrown in. And the moisture then is going to be leveling off around Monday into Tuesday. Sunrise in Barbados tomorrow, 28 minutes to 6 o'clock. Sunset will be at 26 minutes after 6. The first high tide, 13 minutes after 4 early tomorrow morning. The second is going to be at 5:36 in the p.m. The first low tide, 11 o'clock in the a.m. The second is going to be at 10:52 in the evening. And with the winds as fresh as they are, seas moderate in open water, peaking at 2.5 meters. And we're urging small craft operators and sea bathers to continue to be cautious. East-southeasterly to easterly, 15 to 40 kilometers per hour the winds. The forecast for Barbados tonight, partly cloudy and breezy with some scattered showers. And come tomorrow, we're looking at fair to partly cloudy skies. It's also going to be breezy with a few passing showers.